All right, welcome back to the channel. We are still working on the WRX. It is taking a very long time to get all the parts I need, figure things out. I'll have more on this motor in a future video. But what I'm gonna do now is go over this awesome turbo inlet that Killer Bee Motorsports makes. So we'll go over this for a brief second. So if you buy this for your EJ series engine, they make a hard turbo inlet, which is all metal, versus the flimsy, plasticky rubber type turbo inlet that the stock Subarus come with. And it's really easy to install. They have a whole user guide, and it explains each step of how to go ahead and install it, what to take off, and they even explain all the tools that you need, what's included with the kit. So with the turbo inlet, you get the actual turbo inlet, the metal turbo inlet, the coupler for your turbo inlet to turbo connection. So I'm going to be running a stock location turbo. So this is the turbo coupler that goes to the turbo inlet, which goes to a 2.4 inch standard inlet on a turbo stock STI turbo or aftermarket turbos. You also get a variety of NPT quarter-inch plugs or fittings, as you can see there. You also get the small clamp for the bypass valve, that's the BPV return hose. On mine, I'm going to be running a tile blow-off valve. So guys at Killer Bee were nice enough to close that off for me. So that is a beautiful machine finish right there. Sorry, the camera's trying to focus. All right, so moving along, you also get the clamps that they use for connecting the turbo inlet to the coupler and to the actual turbo itself. And that's these stainless steel clamps right here. Cool stuff. All right, so these are some of the fittings that you get. They will include, like I said, this quarter-inch NPT plug. They will include this quarter-inch NPT 90-degree fitting. And I decided that these would work out fine, but since I'm going to be powder coating this, and I'm actually going to tape these up a little bit where the hose connection is going to be and where it's going to be threaded in, I'm actually going to powder coat these metal fittings. So I went ahead and got myself some NPT quarter-inch fittings. So this is right here. It's a 5/16. So it's a quarter-inch NPT with a 5/16 barb fitting right there. And I'll show you exactly how this all connects. I also went ahead and got another 90-degree like the one that Killer Bee offered with this kit and put it right there. So it looks, I liked it to match. That's the reason why I did it. But these, honestly, these would work perfectly fine. There's no reason why you need to. And they actually pre-coat these with like a Teflon liquid tape, so that when you install them and screw it in, it will actually make a nice airtight seal. So, all right, we'll look at the original turbo inlet that was on this 2002 WRX and kind of show you some of the improvements that Killer Bee Motorsports has done with their new turbo inlet. So right here, this is the stock Subaru OEM turbo inlet. And honestly, it's seen better days, but it's just there to serve a purpose to be, you know, providing air right to the turbocharger. See if I can get a better angle there. There you go. You can kind of see there's a lot of that ribbed area for where the turbo inlet on this OEM piece can be kind of flexed around and moved around, and also moved around, especially with engine vibrations or anything like that. I think this is kind of just an ease for installing, since it is a rubber piece, rubber kind of plasticky piece. But you can really see there's a lot of non-smooth areas, you know, on the inside. And this actually disrupts a lot of airflow. It actually creates a lot of turbulence. So like even that fitting up there, let's see the camera, there we go. It's really not going to be smooth for airflow. You kind of want to think of a almost like a rifle barrel. You know, you wouldn't want to have all these little ridges and little gaps here and there for your bullet to go through a rifle. So that's how I kind of think about it. And with this turbo inlet, a lot of the times also, they'll crack around here. They actually kind of crack around right there, especially with the stock. You can look at that. The stock hose clamps will degrade that. And you can see like the ribs from the rubber was just popping through the hose clamp. So these pieces will break off very easily. I mean, you can easily just take these and snap them off with a pair of pliers. This won't snap. Now check this out. Look at that. See how smooth that is? You can even see down here. You can basically see the light coming out from the other end of this turbo inlet. So you can see that perfectly clear. Now, look at this. I mean, even on a stock turbo application, you're going to see increased spool up. Air is what needs to come through. It has to come through with no turbulence, but in a nice airflow pattern. And this is like, it's going in and then it's hitting this angle and then coming down perfectly easily. Comes in, nice big wide open, shoots right out. And then obviously for stock turbo applications for the 2.4 inlet, there's no way really getting around this little contour out here, you know, this turn, but this is going to be a lot better. I'm telling you, and it's so easy. So you have your engine on your WRX or STI, and you want to put the turbo inlet. You got to take this off. The directions will show you that. I kind of made my own little diagram. I took a picture from their directions, and I kind of made it with little text boxes so I know where everything is, and this kind of helps me understand how everything happens. And you can maybe take a little snapshot if you want with this. This is going to be the way it's set up. So don't quote me on this, but I'm 99% sure I have this written out correctly. So this piece here, which is this piece right here, this is for your wastegate duty solenoid return or your boost solenoid hose connection. That would be port 1 of the Cobb electronic boost control solenoid or whatever. You might have a Grimspeed electronic boost control solenoid. I have a Cobb right now for this car, so we're just gonna, that's why I had the Cobb right there. But this is for the EBCS, that's electronic boost control solenoid. So that will connect to that. This is part of that Evap Purge hose, and that is that connection that actually comes off of the intake manifold. It kind of goes to this wonky Purge solenoid sensor. And then there's a hose that runs from the back of the motor, and it goes to the firewall where your feed and return are for your fuel. I got rid of that whole purge valve. There's another hose that connects to a purge valve, and the hose has another hose connected to these little areas here and here. I capped these off, and what I have is the hose that's coming out from the firewall that will connect to the, pretty sure I have this correctly done. Yeah. That bottom port on this Purge solenoid sensor will connect on the bottom. And then this hose right here, you can just imagine it's running and it goes to the firewall. And I'll show you exactly in the engine bay. So I have some work to be done in this area, but so you have the 3 hard lines coming from your firewall. Let me see here. So this is the bottom one on my 2002 WRX is the feed. The top one is my return. And then this bottom one right here, or this middle piece, sorry, the middle. So top is return, middle is that Evap that goes to your fuel tank Evap charcoal canister, whole system back there. And then the bottom is the feed. So the feed, bottom, middle is that Evap, top is the return. And this is where that hose I was showing you just earlier on the engine is where I'm gonna hook up to that hard line. And that goes directly, we'll go back again, to this solenoid port on the bottom. Now the top piece, this piece here, this is gonna connect to this port. And that's gonna be part of this plug, right? This NPT fitting right here with the hose barb. All right. This is part of your crankcase connection. As you can kind of see over here, the OEM has it right there. Killer Bee offers, provides the piece that you need out of brass. That is going to connect to my IAG AOS street system that I'm going to be putting in. So that's the air oil separator that IAG provides to the market. So that's what I'm going to use this piece right here for. Now, if you're running a stock bypass valve, it will, that big hose that connects on the bottom of the bypass valve, that will connect right here. But if you're running like a tile blow-off valve or any atmospheric blow-off valve, you're going to want to make sure you kind of have this plugged up, or like how I had Killer Bee do for me, machine that off and have it solid so that they didn't open that up. Because I won't be running a recirculating bypass valve. I'll be running an atmospheric blow-off valve. And then this is the PCV diagnostics connection, and they have it plugged in. And it really, the instructions are very, very easy to use. I mean, they really go through and explain everything that you need, step by step, clear pictures. Everything's in color. It's wonderful. But let me show you what's really wonderful about their system. Back in the day, I had the APS, some of the, maybe the original owners back in like 2002, 2007, 2008. Kind of remember the APS hard turbo inlet that they made. They're out of business, but this is so much easier than that one. So this is the motor, right? Let's say this is in the engine bay, and you want to install this. And look, I have all my fittings on, right? Ready to go. Normally, we would have to take the intake manifold off would have to, you know, take all this stuff off and really just lift it up and kind of get this to fit in and bolt up to this connection right here. Now with Killer B. You ready? I'm gonna do it one-handed. Check this out. Let's see, we get this camera to focus here. So. Now I'm doing this one-handed, okay? Just to give you an idea here. Now, how many turbo inlets do you think you can ever work on with one hand and install? I mean, this is literally, you can't make it any easier than this. Unless you had one of the Killer B people come by and middle of the night install it for you. There's really no way you can do this any easier than that. I mean, some people that have done turbo inlets, I mean, they even know, you know, they're sitting there with, like, let's say the Samco or the silicone style turbo inlets, and I mean, they sometimes like grease them up with WD-40 and they're trying to get that piece to slide in there between everything. Not with this. This is simple. Stupid simple. Look at that. Perfect. It's not hitting anything. I mean, the clearance is great. I'll take the coupler and walk in the back. Look. And I have, you know, the IAG TGV deletes. I have the spacers too for the intake manifold, but I mean, nothing is hitting. The only thing I can say that you might maybe have to move is, you see that hard line, that water line that runs to your coolant expansion tank. It'll kind of sit sticking up a little bit below this hose that I have mocked up. You can kind of see it there on the Samco hose. You might just have to take a flathead screwdriver and just kind of, I mean, like not even 1.5 inches, like just kind of bend it away, maybe, for the way the turbo inlet sits. At most. I mean, I had no problem fitting it. It wasn't rubbing or touching. It was a little bit close, but for me, I just took a flathead screwdriver or Phillips head screwdriver that fit inside that hard line, and I just bent it a little bit, very, very gingerly, just a little bit away. And I mean, you can see that there is massive amounts of room. So that's a Killer B turbo inlet. It's beautiful piece. It's well made. It has beautiful airflow inside versus OEM. Anything other than this garbage here is going to be better. But I mean, this being a hard metal turbo inlet, it's not going to crack or, you know, degrade over time where the silicone turbo inlets are going to, you know, splinter up, or the rubber, because it's, you know, it's malleable. This is hard. It's not going to break or split unless you, I don't know, hit it with a hammer and a chisel punch. I mean, there's really no way you can destroy this. Once you put this on, it's going to last. Probably last longer than Subaru head gaskets, which is always the running joke, but yeah. We're going to have another video of how we're going to be powder coating this. So I'm going to show you the color. I'm going to powder coat this in, and I'm thinking I'm going to take a little sandpaper and just kind of rub that powder coat off the lettering so that kind of pops. And the color we're going to do is this bronze color that I worked out with a couple powder coat So it's a bronze color, right? But I used a like a mattish clear on top. And that's what we did with the APS 65 millimeter cold air intake. That's it sitting in there. So we're gonna do that to that turbo inlet, and it's gonna be popping just a little bit of color, which this motor is starting to look like it needs, because a lot of things are just black. Well, that's purple, but you know, we're trying to bring some color out. So that's why I'm gonna have a little bronze. This will be bronze, and that's really it. I mean, this is getting there. We're starting to get to a few more things that we need to get this engine rolling. What do I need? I need to get a turbo, which I am talking to Jeff at Full Race about. We have one picked out, so I just need to pull the trigger on the credit card. We're gonna need a clutch and flywheel. I have one picked out. We're gonna need a dampener. I'm gonna go with the ATI crank dampener. That's really what you wanna run on upgraded motors. Stock motors, people might get mad and say that's not true, Chris, but you know, they might get mad and say that's not true, but this is what I ran on this motor. This is just my stock 2-liter. As you can see, it's just disgusting. And this has no dampening on the crank. This ran fine. I ran this from 150,000 miles to like 270,000 when this thing went. No issues. On this motor, a built motor, I'm not going to be running this crank pulley. I am going to do the same thing like I did on my STI. I'm getting the ATI dampener, and that is a harmonic dampener that will help with the engine harmonics and vibrations, and that's what I'm going to be running. So if you have a built motor, definitely upgrade to either an ATI, or there's another company, I think Fluid Dampener is out there. They make really awesome crank dampeners. If you have a stock motor, you don't really, you're not really doing much with anything other than, I don't know, stage 1 exhaust. You can get away with this, taking the stock one off. You do shave rotational mass. I don't know how much you shave, but I think it's relative to like maybe a couple hundred pounds, like 100 to 200 pounds maybe taken off of the vehicle, as in weight wise. It'll rev up a little quicker. I had that laying around from the STI actually, and when I built the motor on the STI, I took this off, and then I had the WRX, and I said, all right, gets a free hand-me-down upgrade. So I've been running that, but now with this motor, I'm going to be definitely running a crank dampener from ATI. And there's some other stuff I need, but we're getting there slowly, and I hope to produce some more videos for you. I hope you're enjoying it. Maybe you're learning a couple things. And if you got questions, post them below, and then subscribe and like the video if you like it. All right, I'll see you guys again. Thanks for joining.